benefit of the TReDS, how they can we improve their liquidity positions and other things. But now the platform has matured. Okay, in June 2025, we crossed the biggest milestone of cumulative figures of 2 lakh financing, 2 lakh crore financing. So I had seen that journey from 1 lakh rupees to 2 lakh crore of financing, and how it has been helping the MSME, especially the micro and small entrepreneurs, with respect to their liquidity requirement.
Well, welcome back to MSME Talk podcast for micro, small, medium enterprise businesses and startups.
This is episode 5 MSME Talk, how CFOs can use TReDS platform optimally. For better experience, I would suggest you to switch to 1.25x speed, and also don't miss to subscribe at the rate MSME Talk on YouTube, Apple and Spotify. In our earlier episodes, we spoke to CFOs from medium and large companies to understand the experience with TReDS and the benefit they have seen. If you have not seen it, do check out those small bite episodes. Today we sit down with the CFO of one of the India's top TReDS platform itself. The idea is to understand how a CFO who lives and breathes TReDS would think if he were managing treasury at an SME business or a mid-sized company or an MNC or even in a PSU. What would he do differently? What hidden features or benefits of TReDS are companies still not using optimally? And how can a CFO unlock its full potential of balance compliance, vendor trust, cash flows, and other part of the business? So today we have CFO of RXIL TReDS with us, who has been associated with TReDS since TReDS started. RXIL TReDS is one of the top leading digital marketing place in India for invoice discounting, MSME trade receivable. The platform is approved by RBI. Have already crossed 2 lakh crore invoices discounted through their platform. So let me welcome Kailash Varodia, CFO and Chief Operating Officer of RXIL TReDS on the show now. A very warm welcome, Kailash, on MSME Talk podcast.
Thanks, Dhruti.
So Kailash, to begin with, we would love to know a bit about your journey as parts of your TReDS platform.
We already covered that. I started journey with RXIL in March 2017. It's almost 8.5 years now, and today I think it is completed exactly 8.5 years. Initially, when we started, it was really tough, to convincing the buyer, the seller, and the benefit of the TReDS, how they can we improve their liquidity positions and other things. But now the platform has matured. Okay, in June 2025, we crossed the biggest milestone of cumulative figures of 2 lakh financing, 2 lakh crore financing. So I had seen that journey from 1 lakh rupees to 2 lakh crore of financing, okay? And how it has been helping the MSMEs, especially the micro and small entrepreneurs, with respect to their liquidity requirement. The TReDS is not just a financing tool, but it's really one kind of cash management system or building a supply management, sending the supply as far as the buyer is concerned. Today we have around 50,000 MSMEs, around 2,800 buyers, but it's still, I'll say, it's a long way to go kind of thing. So when we started the journey, initially it was, as I told you, it was really difficult kind of thing, especially when then COVID appeared. And the kind of contribution the TReDS has given, especially in the lockdown, when MSMEs were struggling for the funds, the TReDS helped them. And I'm really, personally, if you ask me, I'm really proud of it. And based on the success of TReDS, now we have launched RXI Global, is an international trade finance platform regulated by IFSC, GIFT City, Gujarat, which is called ITFS, which can help import and export financing, especially for the MSME sector. So doing this journey, to be very honest, learn a lot, and this also increased my understanding about the MSME sector, different industries, how they operate, what is their fund requirement. Every industry have a different kind of requirement, a structured deal kind of thing. Even the concept is the same, finance, correct? But this journey has 8.5 years journey has really given me that kind of insight as far as the MSME sector, plus the corporate, the PSUs and other things. But I think still there are a lot to learn on this particular front.
So Kailash, as a CFO using TReDS, how would you measure the impact of TReDS on different part of businesses? Example, treasury or a payment cycle or for the matter of EBITDA margins?
So obviously, as a CFO, first I obviously look into the in the bottom line, that is EBITDA, kind of that how can I increase my EBITDA margins, and that will come obviously from the lower financing cost kind of thing, correct? So when I talk about lower financing cost, I will obviously go into the working capital requirement, a treasury function kind of thing, where I get a cheaper fund at a timely manner, correct, without putting any collateral, because obviously collateral is one of the limiting factor. And then subsequently also see that how I can reduce my payment cycle. When it comes to payment cycle, how can I make the payment to my MSME on time, or how can I realize if I'm an MSME, how can I realize the payment on time so that it will help me to bring the liquidity to my system. And then definitely this is going to contribute to my growth story also, correct? If I have a better margins, if I have a perfect fund management kind of thing, okay, then I definitely it will contribute to my business also. This I also think that how can I bring the operation efficiency rather than going for the manual work, running to the each financer, asking for the limits and thousands of documents to be submitted. How can I bring the operation efficiency in my working capital requirement, in day-to-day requirement kind of thing. And so one of the important part is how I am strengthening my relationship with the supplier so that there is no disruption in supplying the material to me so that my production will not go on a halt kind of thing. So how can I reduce or I think eliminate my grievances as far as my vendor is concerned? So as a CFO, I was obviously look into this. So I will not just look as a financing tool, rather than I will see that how it can be contribute to bring operational efficiencies, to bring better cash management system, to bring being compliant, and ultimately also to bring or reduce my financing cost of it.
Okay, makes sense. CFO focus is the biggest is EBITDA margin, and then everything fall through, right? Apart from various other areas you have mentioned. So, Kailash, let's do a little bit of role play where you will get into the shoes of the CFOs of other type of businesses, stages of the businesses and structures of the businesses, say for example SME or a mid-sized company or an MNC, and then we understand how can they can get better benefits out of TReDS, or if you are there, how would you be using that better. So let's start with a small company, right? If you tomorrow become a CFO or a finance head for a small company in India, what would be your biggest reason to adopt TReDS as a SME small company?
Yeah, so if I become a CFO for SME, a small company, the SME face the biggest issue is that the financing on a timely manner at a very, or I'll say competitive rate or better rate, and without collateral. And this is the biggest challenge what the SMEs are facing as of now. That's why we can say that there is a good amount of gap for the MSME financing requirement is concerned. I think trades is basically addressing those part only that based on the strength of the buyer, the MSME get finance, and that is where I will also say that how can improve my liquidity position. That is where my first priority, and that is also at very competitive rate.
Wonderful. So, as a small company, uh, priority would be how can I get my money back from my buyers as early as possible, and reduction of, because I don't have much of collateral available, how can I get more cash to do the run the cycle of the business turnover without running after the collateral to take more financing. Very nice. Now, Kailash, as a small company CFO, what efficiency you would aim at out of lot of these factors, as a there were less people in the small companies. There would be a business owner or maybe a finance head or something, right? There were many heads. So what would be the efficiency you would aim for in this entire working?
So I think my first priority should be or efficiency. What I want to bring into the system is to predict the funds, so that I want to improve the cash flow coming into the system, and that is also at a better price. I'll not say cheaper price, but at a better price, which will impact at the end of the day, which will impact my operations. Plus, as you correctly said that in SME you will not have a multiple heads kind of thing. So how I can reduce the manual work or or a physical work which I have to follow up with bankers might be today. Physically I have to follow up for all my things, or from the buyer also. So how that can be more, I said, digitalized, or can be done by more online kind of thing. So that kind of efficiency I want to bring into the system.
Okay, very nice. So, very pointed that less manpower is there. How can I, get more support from the platforms who are providing services? I can give more time onto the business rather than chasing the bankers for the more limits and collecting the money from the my buyers, and lot of support can come for these through TReDS, right? Okay. uh, Kailash, if tomorrow if you become a CFO of a say mid-sized company, so under the SME or MSME there's a mid-sized company also, or nowadays the definition of mid-size has also changed from this year. So how would you you be a CFO of that mid-sized company? In that scenario, what would be your biggest reason to adopt TReDS?
I think if I just talk about the mid-sized CFO, I think biggest my thing is to manage the working capital requirement. A mid-sized company is not the micro small, correct? So when it comes to supplying to a larger corporate or bigger corporate, correct? The credit period might be 90 days, 120 days, and if you're supplying to infra, it can go up to 150 or 180 days. On the second leg, when this payable is concerned, when I am procuring from the MSME, I have to make the payment within 45 days. So management of those particular cycle, I'll say payable and receivable cycle is one of my biggest, I think, first part where I will be going for a trades so that I can get my payable financing, which I can match with my receivables from the larger corporate or bigger corporate, and at the better pricing, I'll say, without collateral.
Okay, so you mean to say on one side, your vendors are there as a mid-sized company, and on the other side you have large corporates to whom you have to supply. Mismatch in the payment cycle for this entirely. Uh, and you as a CFO for this company, and you also know breathe and sleep with the TReDS kind, the TReDS can help in this jugglery for you.
And definitely, trades can bring the efficiency in the system that way, so that I can really plan for my payables, okay, and can match with the my receivables. Subsequently, also take example in a mid-sized company, whenever there is requirement, he can borrow from or formal channel. The rates are really high. So if I have a dedicated lines where I'm going to get it at a competitive or a better price, the cost of financing will also be standardized. Okay, and that will help me to consolidate all my payable or invoice financing requirement kind of thing, and ultimately reduce my payable days. And this will impact my production also, because the supplier who is supplying to me, and if I'm making them payment on time, definitely they will rely on me and then supply the material. Even if there is any delay, one or two delays also, they will not get panic kind of thing.
Okay, so here, Kailash, we understand in this particular segment there'll be more and more instances where company would have MSME suppliers, right, for whom TReDS is again applicable, and they themselves could be getting qualified under MSME as per the new definition, which talks about up to the 500 crore turnover and all. So, and they would be supplying to other MSMEs, or maybe large companies, could be anything, right? So in that scenario, what you're trying to saying is they can use the benefit of TReDS both the ways, whether to make the payment or whether to receive the payment. uh, but in both the ways, Kailash, does the benefit of costing, operational efficiency, operational costing, right, and the cost of borrowing, are those benefits are available? How does it
Yeah,
work?
correct. Because what you're saying is right. Cost benefit is there. Why? Because trades is a multi-finance model. So there is a competition. So there's auction-based model. So take example today, if I am a mid-sized company, I'm supplying to a double A rated company, correct? There will be 15, 20 finance are there who are see the strength of the particular corporate, large corporate, and finance against those particular receivable of mine. On the second leg of it, when my cash and my financials are strong, then and my cash flow is proper, there might be a financer who are also ready to take a great exposure for my payable part of it. And then again, as I said, there's a multi-financer model which brings the price discovery as far as the trade is concerned.
Right. So in what one of the point pick up from the points you have shared related to it's being multiple lenders are available on the platform to lend the money. If I'm credit wise comfortable for them, in that case, as a SME client, for me it is much better to go via TReDS because more bankers are able to see about me and know about me, and in that way if there is a need and requirement for me to borrow more, there's already a introduction pre-introduction done to them in less effort. Right. So it's like, so is it Kailash, is it like something coming on the stage in front of all the buyers? Okay, now if we can just make it little, analogy wise, see it from an IPO. Now when you are into IPO or you are coming in the debt issue or something, you are there and they are the investors on the other side, or the lenders, or the debenture investors, NCD, or the bond investors, or equity investors, right? So many are there. With one issue you are able to access with so many. Now here what, tell me if I'm wrong in this understanding. As a SME player, if I'm on the TReDS with one regular activity of this, I'm already in front of all the lenders. So a lot of my work is reduced of making me aware about myself to all the lenders, or selling about myself to all the lenders, right? Is it helping in that way?
What you say is right. Sometimes it happens that when the particular small company, I'm just giving an example of a mid-sized company who started the journey with Trades platform, and then once they build the data. So let's example if Trade started and there are only two financiers who started financing, because in India, there will be few initiator and then people are follower, correct? And then two financer and there is a good amount of data has been built in the system. Then obviously there are other financer who follows that because you had already built a history over there. Correctly said that once you come on trades, it's more of transparent mechanism. You are showcasing that how much business you are doing on trades, what kind of rates are going on, okay, what kind of invoices you are putting into the system, and that brings a comfort level to the financer. So once they are comfortable, definitely they will also assign the limits for that particular mid-sized company. So when he bilaterally goes to a particular financer, all financial histories and everything get first checked, reviewed, and then subsequently limit defined, and that has get renewed next year after the second financial performance. But trades is different.
You don't need to wait for 1 year to get additional support for the cash flow, to get your working capital limit revised. Here that's not the requirement. You can get support for higher purchases, or for that matter, or even if you want to sell and you want to buy more for the raw material, or working capital, uh, and that could be as a part of regular working for the entire year. Like whenever it is the need, you can go to the exchange. Wonderful. So you have shared so many benefits which comes already with the to the mid-sized companies in this way. Now again, any one or two specific very pointed treasury efficiency as a mid-sized company CFO you would focus on?
If I talk about treasury efficiency for a mid-sized company, how can I get a working capital limits at a cheaper rate, timely manner, and very important, without collateral?
Okay. So you have made it everything very specific, and also a lot of these benefits coming from the TReDS. Understand? uh, Kailash, if tomorrow you become a CFO of, say, a multinational company, MNC. Now MNC using TReDS, you could tell the more numbers. Is it making sense to them, not making sense to them, right? uh, because they are not in a situation like an MSMEs, right? But multinational companies might have a lot of vendors who would be MSMEs. Okay. What would be your biggest reason to adopt TReDS if you're an MNC CFO?
So being MNC for the funds is not a issue. If I talk about MNC, funds are already ready from the HE kind of thing. But MNC specifically, if I see that they are more compliant, they want to be more transparent. Another area is that they want to help or they empower their own MSMEs, so that they can get a regular supply, especially a critical one. So there is no deception of the supplies for a critical equipment or services kind of thing, right? Tomorrow MNC, even though I said he might not require the cash, but sometimes they might want to take the, especially let's example, a seasonal factor is there, correct? And they want to have the funding requirement, then definitely that can also be another area where we can look into that. But first, I'm more confident on more transparent, compliant, and help the MSME with respect to their funding requirement because we consider, MNC consider their suppliers their partners.
Okay, so you are saying ki it's not about saving an extra penny. Okay, cash flow is available with them, but there are other benefit as a trust platform which you are providing. uh, One is transparency, completely visibility, so the more confidence is coming in, right? uh, Strategic supplier engagement is there. Wonderful. If you have to, as a CFO, right, of an MNC company, have to position yourself as a TReDS, position TReDS in front of the global treasury, how would you use it?
So I think any supply chain financing program, correct, that has to be aligned with the global policies of the particular MNC, correct? And let's example, obviously, whenever we go for this kind of product, we have to get it approved from the our head office, correct? So once I start taking the financing, or I'll start, going into trades and getting my MSME financing, automatically it goes as a feeder in the cash management of my global supply chain system. Okay, so at any point of time, the globally person sitting, they know that what is my liability, what is my obligations against this particular MSME sector, and based on that, my fund can be planned accordingly. So that became my supply chain management as far as my global finance program is concerned.
So, Kailash, while using TReDS, say for example, if an MNC CF or MNC company is using TReDS, uh, the entire process is absolutely very flawless, like compliance meeting, regular timely payments, and everything. Or there is still a chances that some kind of pitfalls can happen, or it's like absolutely auto-driven thing.
So yeah, both. I'll say the primary objective of the MNC as a coming on trades is always be a compliance part of it. Correct. That yeah, that you are paying within 45 days to the micro and small. And being a trades platform, they have a validations. First validation is that whether suppliers are fitting into which category, whether it's micro, small, or medium. Second, the invoices financed on the platform are financed within 45 days from the goods or services acceptance. So you are rest assured on those particular part that yes, your compliance is taken care of it. And as a MNC, your obligations towards the MNC, the MSMEs, making them payment on time, it's you can consider as a ESG or CSR activity kind of thing.
So, Kailash, if say, for example, I don't want, as an MNC player, I don't want to wait 45 days. Even I'm having money to pay my vendors before that. I don't need financing. So, I don't need TReDS.
See, there are two part of it. One is that when you are taking a supplies from the particular MSME, there is a credit period involved, either 30 days or 15 days or 45 days or max time, correct? So you are making the payment on time, there is no problem. Okay, perfectly, you have managed your fund, you have put your surplus amount in your treasury. But think on the MSME who might have borrowed at 13% or 14%. So why? Based on strength of my credit rating, my credit worthiness, they're getting a cheaper fund, correct? Second part is that, so obviously he will supply me. Second part is that, and very important, directly or indirectly, tomorrow it might come as a product price benefit to me. Because today, if I'm supplying a paint to you, and I know that you are going to make me payment after 45 days, and my cost of borrowing is 14%, I have to inbuild that particular into my product pricing. And tomorrow, because of you, if I'm getting at a cheaper rate, immediate funds, my product pricing might get changed. So at the end of the day, I'm going to get benefit out of it.
Got it. So you're basically saying because of me being an MNC or you being an MNC for that matter, if the cost of borrowing is set because rating is high, the cost of borrowing would be very low rate. Now, if your vendors are coming, getting paid through the TReDS, even 30 days or 15 days financing can be at a much lower cost, or maybe at times 3 to 4% lesser than the what they would be getting it from their working capital lenders. Okay, uh, Kailash, let's move to a bigger giant, which are PSUs.
Oh,
Uh, while are mandated to use TReDS, but they're still not using it to that optimal, scale which they can be. So, if you are a CFO of a PSU, what would be your biggest reason to use TReDS?
so you know that PSU have a target that they should procure I think 18% from the MSME sector, and these MSMEs are not in small numbers. They are in huge numbers, and supplying different materials, different services kind of thing. So first is one of the important area that whether I want to be compliant, that 45 days term, correct? That within 45 days I have to make the payment to the MSME. So I'm to compliant. Timely payment to the MSME through the test platform will definitely help me. And that brings the confidence in the supplier also. To what today, let's example, a PSU had, then there is a delay in payment, this is a normal scenario. That can easily get addressed with respect to if they are coming from trades. Ultimately, liability is on PSU. So my first, obviously, and that how can I be compliant, transparent, and make the payment timely to my MSME so that I can help my MSME to grow further. I can empower them.
Okay. So basically, it's also becoming a tool if as a PSU CFO to manage the entire group of vendors who are MSME vendors in a more efficient manner. Is it that one of the point coming out from your pointers, that you have a huge pool of vendors and the payment is to be made in a while there is team and everything is available, but when the platform is available, that is taking everything much smoother and in an operational efficiency manner, right? Okay.
Further, we just want to add, Trupti. So, even today, trades platform have the mechanism to also become like a payment gateway or payment system for the any buyers. So, unfinanced invoice can also get settled through the trades platform. So that will bring more operation efficiency into my system, and I'm sure that once I have put one particular vendor onto trades, whether it is finance or not, he is going to get the payment within 40%. That is one of the biggest comfort level I'll be having if I am a CFO of PSU. Second part is that also PSU has also they are also borrowing from the market to requirement to for their working capital requirement. Trades can be also one kind of alternative for that because trades brings the biggest advantage of a price discovery, whether it is for the MSME or whether for the buyer. Buyer can also have an extended credit period with respect to the then payable financing, and they will bear the financing cost. Considering there is a competition, they can definitely reduce their cost of borrowing through the TReDS platform.
Got it. So so how many lenders are there on our trades platform of yours?
Today we have around 70 lenders.
Okay. So you are saying these 70 lenders are present. Even many PSUs also, borrow the money. So for them, it becomes a much easy tool of discovery of costing and reaching out and matchmaking, vice versa, right? So even if it's not about the short term payment itself, TReDS is just not about short, but TReDS is a catalyst for you to discover the lenders and for lenders to discover the clients for the much bigger transaction, even the term loans, projects loans, or to do the cross sales which they can do among themselves. But TReDS can be a player as a catalyst for that. Okay. Uh, what unique challenge of PSUs? As if you're a PSU representative, what is in your experience they have in relevance to the vendor payment, right? Is there anything specific PSUs face?
So I think, as I again repeating the same thing, that they have a large pool of MSMEs. Okay. But there are a few challenges, like there is a lengthy process, internal process for approving those invoices. Then there are a lot of paperwork to be done. Large volumes are there. Small MSMEs are there, correct? Because they have a target to procure a fixed percentage from the MSMEs. So it's a diversified vendor segment, I'll say. That is one of the challenge, and definitely with respect to trades, we can definitely address this, because this is bring more digital and standardized discounting system for the MSME payment.
Okay, so one of the point you said is the approval system. So one, when the payment is being made in the PSUs, timely approvals and the timely payment. Okay, uh, that can be supported by TReDS. Okay, and also meeting the regulation because uh, PSUs are bounded by the government regulation also to buy from MSMEs and to use TReDS also.
To make the payment within 45 days is one of the important area for them.
Absolutely. For yeah. Uh, Kailash, tell me one thing. Like GEM is one of the platform through which CPSE, PSUs have to, have their own foundations to and the criteria they have to meet to buy from MSME and MSE vendors. In that scenarios, how the payment happening is TReDS being used if purchases is done through GEMs?
So as of now, we have not seen the transaction to the GEMs directly, but on the GEM there is the option is available. So there's payment mode can be through trades, right? We are working on that, where we can have an integration set, so that in case the supplier who requires the financing against particular invoices which is accepted by the buyer, and the due date is yet to come, they can very well take finance from the trades, because at the end of the day, as I told you, there is a immediate liquidity and at a very competitive rate.
Okay, got it. So now, Kailash, let's move to a different structure where instead of we are talking about small company, medium company, MNC or PSU, let's talk about the format of the company in the sense manufacturing hai, FMCG companies or for that matter pharma or services, right? Uh, how do you see CFO using TReDS differently in these different setup of companies?
Yeah,
Please take
absolutely.
us through.
Yeah, see, absolutely. See, the underlying platform is the same. The concept is the same, correct? At the end of the day, MSME receivable get finance, correct? But every industry will have different structure, different requirement, correct? So if you go to manufacturing industry, especially where they require the supplies to be done on regular basis without any disruption, at the end of the day, their MSMEs are also, or suppliers are also calling for the payment, correct? So there, if the MSMEs get payment, the suppliers get payment within time, a very standardized way kind of thing. So there is no deception of the suppliers. It can work both the ways. Either the MSME who want to get it financed when the due date is not there, plus the MSME buyer also, if they want to extend for their working capital requirement where they will make after 60 days or 90 days, then they will bear the financing cost that will help them. Right? If I talk about, say, FMCG, very fast moving, volume based business kind of thing, large, a large amount of suppliers are there, fast moving activities are there. So if through trades, if the mechanism can build the moment they supply, because FMCG companies require the supplies to be on time, especially in some if they are going to some festival season or something like that. So there should not be any deception as far as the supplies are concerned. And as I told you, it's in large volume. So trades have that kind of capability, whether it is 100 rupees invoices or whether it is 10 crore invoices can get handled through this particular platform. So FMCG, a different ball game, correct? But and again, FMCG, it is completely volume based, so your margin might be small. So higher the volume, higher the revenue. So they need this kind of support. Because many times it comes as a seasonal factor also. So they
Right,
need this kind of supply chain finance solution for their vendors.
right,
Uh,
right,
if I talk about pharma is more or less same as manufacturing, but pharma, if you see, they are more compliance kind of thing with respect to quality of the material supply. So they have very critical suppliers, and they have say longer duration contract with them. And suppliers also, because they are supplying critical material, they also demand immediate payment kind of thing. In this particular scenario, if the pharma companies don't have immediate cash balance, they might, their supplier payment might get disappeared. So through trades, definitely they can keep that, making the payment to the MSME, and then MSME get supplying on time kind of thing. But if I talk about the service industry, it's a different ballgame, because they are more project-based kind of thing, project. So their project might be they are attend to the big project of say highways or building some bridges or kind of thing, where they are also a small contractor, during that particular project. So at the one part, they are going to get the payment after 90 days, 120 days, or 150 days after certification, whereas the contractor is behind them or standing on their door asking for the money. Otherwise, they will stop working. Correct. So keeping them happy, keeping them funded is one of the important area for service industry, because it is more or less job work kind of thing, where people involvement is there. But the small MSME contractor also has to make the salary payment to his own employees or his own suppliers, correct? So the whole value, the whole chain get impacted. If you are making the payment to one part, definitely the effect of that will be in the whole chain.
this is right. You are saying there are different formats and their urgencies, their problems are coming differently. So, in specifically FMCG point where you were mentioning about the seasonality, this is a very important point because seasonality is a time where we see a lot of mid-size or small companies or MSMEs or in different formats they struggle, and that is where TReDS can be a very good support system in case of seasonality to bringing you working capital support. Absolutely, very specific and nice point you have raised in this as a CFO. Now let's understand, Kailash, you have seen working on TReDS since so many years. There might be some observations where companies who are using TReDS, right? And for that matter, the CFOs who are using it or the finance team who are using it, is there any some common mistake which might be happening? And if that can be focused, it can help.
See, I think the one of the important area what I want to just bring it, that the people get registered on trades platform because they are get mandated by the government. The 250 crore and crore company has to get registered on trades platform, and all the CPAs is correct. Sometimes it happens that because you want to be compliant, you get registered, but you don't do any transactions, or you get registered, but you only give some top 5 or 6 suppliers, which is very important for you. But why can't you get open for all the MSME suppliers? Because at the end of it, they are going to get the benefit. Okay. Why we are thinking that it's a complicated? Rather, let's get integrated. If we integrate it, the whole chain will work like a smooth run kind of thing. Correct. So that is where I think we have to also inbuild this trades as the working capital part, rather than just thinking as it's more of compliance or making the payment to the MSME supplier. And that is also very few MSME suppliers.
In your experience, what stops some CFOs from fully embracing TReDS, and how can they overcome that hesitation?
See, sometimes the CFOs want to still remain in the traditional way of financing, correct? Because from last 30, 40, they are doing it. They might feel that the perception is that it's more complicated, if it is because it's completely digital, correct? So people think that it's more complicated, that and it is only for the MSMEs. So if I'm making the payment on fifth day or 10th day or 15th day, I'm a good paymaster. So I don't require the trades, correct? But it might happen that they are not aware about all the benefit of trades. You know, so as I told you, that this platform support MSME as well as the buyer. If buyer requires the funding at a competitive rate, they can definitely get it from the trades. And it's not just limited to few five top 10. It can be rolled out to all the MSME present for that particular buyer. Subsequently, sometimes it happens that they also think that the charges on the trade platform is high as compared to their working capital requirement. So it's not that. The charges are very minimal. Considering this is a multi-financer model, the rate quoted on trades platform or accepted by, with my experience, it's really low as compared to the existing working capital requirement, what they are using.
So, Kailash, what would you say to a CFO who thinks TReDS is only for MSMEs and not relevant for large companies or mid-sized companies?
So to be very honest, trades is actually designed for the buyer. It can be large corporate buyer or PSUs or MNCs or mid corporate buyers kind of thing. Because unless until they come on the trades platform and accept their liability, the things will not work. Okay. Even the financer today is taking exposure on the buyer's trend, not on the MSME, correct? Because without recourse to the MSME. Okay. So it's for not only for the MSME but for buyers also. This platform support factoring. In simple way, factoring means the seller who requires the funds, they will bear the financing cost. So take example, 30 days is their credit period and they need a payment on fifth day, they will bear the financing cost for 25 days. But it also for reverse factoring, which is the payable financing for buyers. So take the same example, they make the payment on 30th day, they can have 60 days or 75 days, and they will bear the financing cost. Considering the financing cost on trades, because of this competition nature, because we are a marketplace, the financing on trades are very competitive as compared to other financing product.
Right. So while the benefit is just not for MSMEs, the benefit is for both the parties, the buyer and the seller both, whether it is a large company or a small company or a mid-sized company as a buyer. And at the same time, the benefit as a seller, MSME sellers also get it. Uh, Kailash, can TReDS give CFO an edge negotiation part or ESG part, or maybe to that extent, what's your experience on the investor perceptions?
Obviously, yes. It's just not the financing tool. Okay, it's also a better management of your supply relationship. And that gives a negotiation power. As I told you earlier also, if I am giving some kind of benefit to the MSME for reducing his financing cost, definitely is going to impact my product pricing. Okay. Second way, obviously, it brings a reputation. If today and there are few good names also. People blindly said, okay, this guy, okay, they are the good payment master. So your reputation, and at the end of the day, you are helping the MSMEs. It's more of one social activity or CSR activity kind of thing, and that also build the good reputation in the market. And once you build a good reputation, obviously the perception of the investor automatically is going to change. Obviously, that increase your valuation. Considering that the how you are compliant, how you are treating your stakeholders, your suppliers, that plays a very important role once your name is called in the market.
So you are basically saying it's just not the costing and EBITDA and the PAT, right? Or the, for that matter, working capital cycle of timely payment and getting financing. But it's also about creating investor perception also, that if you're there on TReDS, you are much more diligent with your payment cycle. You are much more disciplined. Uh, and it's also bringing ESG part where you are supporting the MSMEs and the social angle, taking care of the country and the MSMEs. And obviously, in all this exercise, getting benefit of better pricing from your vendors, because they also consider you as a better partner, where they have to make less efforts to chase you for the funding, and they can divert their mind more on bringing the quality and increasing the business size and increases scale, because as a buyer of larger company or mid-sized company, you would also like that your vendors grow in their size and scale and are able to provide at lesser cost. Very nice. uh, Kailash, if you have to give one piece of advice to your fellow CFOs about TReDS to ensure they are just not onboarded but using it strategically, what it would be?
So in one sentence, I can just put it that way: that don't just sign up, own it strategically. You know, treat trades as a part of your working capital dashboard. Okay, like it's like a treasury function or procurement or one kind of ESG metrics. Correct. Make them discuss at a board level, not at the back office level. Give that kind of, I think, importance, or that kind of, I'd say, more talking point kind of thing as far as trades is concerned.
So a point which you mentioned, that make TReDS as part of your dashboard for all, like whether it's supply chain or the financing part or the lender parts, ki how much inflow outflow is happening through TReDS, and that can help you to use it TReDS much more strategically, because benefit are already established. It's more about the confidence and the use, right? So just don't sign up, make use of it. Wonderful. Now, Kailash, the last question to you is on the personal side. So, Kailash, one thing you would like to share with our listeners, uh, which your social media friends or network doesn't know about you, or anything is a hobby or obsession of yours, or maybe something which you use as your unwinding from stress.
So, to be very honest, I'm a social animal. So love to be being around by the people. You know, playing a game like cricket or carom or chess or dancing to the music or partying with the friends, family, my colleagues from the RXL. Okay, so that give me a, I'll say, fuel to my energy kind of thing. Correct. This is a social energy which helped me, unwind uh, to my stress kind of thing. So it's bring the balance between my personal life and a professional life.
Okay,
All
so
people.
beyond the numbers, yeah, so beyond the numbers, juggling as a CFO or the operational issues as a CEO of RXIL, you try to take your energy and balance your energy by spending more time with the team by playing games or interacting or social gathering. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kailash, for sharing your personal side and being sporty to join us in this podcast and taking the challenge of getting into the shoes of other sectors. And I hope TReDS can grow at 200% every year now. Everything is set. It's just a matter of rolling. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks. Thanks, Trupti, and being a part of RXIL and TReDS Journey has been a privilege, to be very honest with you. And thanks to the RXIL team who has given me the opportunity to work in the MSME ecosystem. I personally, believe that this is the area where, lot to be done. And considering that India is marching towards 5 trillion economy, and by 2047 we want to be a developed country, and MSME is going to play a very important part. And I'm proud to be a part of this particular journey. So thanks again. Thanks to P for this particular session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kailash.
Dear listeners, since last 3 years, you have been listening to MSME Talk audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, etc. Now it is available in video format on YouTube as well. Also, I would like to tell that more information and updates are not covered on podcast, for which you have to ensure that you subscribe our newsletter and follow us on social media. Links are given in description.